It's that time again. Time for USFanTV Live. You got a bonus shot there. I think it made the cut of Chris blowing his nose. He did that.
Yeah, it was quality.
He wants to have clear nasal passages for you, the viewer.
I blow my nose for America.
For America. We got our first really big testimonial today. Our first really big, it's one of those, those quotes that you use like your doctor's office, like this guy will not cut the wrong leg off. Ours is not that mediocre from our friend Kevin C on Twitter. So Kevin, thank you for that.
Yes, we love you, Kevin. That was awesome. That was hilarious.
We thought we were mediocre, but apparently we're okay, not that mediocre. So I feel good about that.
That did make me laugh. That was well played on Kevin's part.
It was good. U.S. Soccer was kind to us, and they put out a nice little press release tonight with their 2016 Player of the Year finalists. So we have something to talk about. We had others too, and we'll get to that. But we're going to lead with the 2016 Player of the Year finalists. If you haven't seen them, they are, on the men's side, Josie Altidore, Michael Bradley, Jeff Cameron, Clint Dempsey, and Bobby Wood. Chris, what are your thoughts on this?
Well, I kind of feel like Deuce is probably on the list as sort of a, oh, maybe he's never going to come back, so we got to give him a last salute.
Okay, but hold on. 3 goals, 3 assists, the game winner against Paraguay when we were there in Philly, also scored against Ecuador in that match. So
his first 6 months, I got to say, are strong. That is fair. That is fair. I'm doing what I think judges do, and that's, I think, look at the last thing they've done, which is why I actually think Josie has a better chance of it than maybe he even deserves. Not to say he doesn't, but just that, yeah, his last few months have certainly been stronger than the other half of the year. So he certainly looks good to wrap it up. Bradley, I think he's just on the list because he's always on the list. It's sort of like how Timmy and Donovan were always on the list. Like they just couldn't help it. They were always going to be there. He's not going to win.
He's our captain, but I mean, he's the 5th of the 5 to me.
Yeah, absolutely. Bobby Wood, his goals, maybe his goals last year were even more impressive, but he's had some, he's certainly raised his level of play this year. I mean, he's looked good overseas. So I think that may be part of it, that he's kind of getting some recognition for that. The player I think it has to probably be, well, until 3 weeks ago or something, I would have said it should have been John Brooks, but I'm thinking it probably was Cameron.
Yeah, I thought you would go Josie, and I was going to play contrarian and go Cameron, but maybe I'll go Josie. The one thing I'll say about Cameron is he's one of those guys, and it happens this way with defenders sometimes. You notice his impact more when he's not there.
Yeah.
And I think we saw in those last 2 qualifiers, I guarantee you, if Jeff Cameron is out there, I don't think we lose to Mexico. And we certainly don't lose in Costa Rica 4-0. We might still lose, but Jeff Cameron raised up everyone's level of play back there. When we joked that it took Klinsmann until Cameron was 30 to figure out that he was a really good player, but yeah, you could make a very strong case that Jeff Cameron is our Player of the Year.
I think in addition to that, well, your point about the Mexico game, it's not even that he would have made us so much better. It's that we probably wouldn't have gone with that stupid 3-5-3, 3-4-4, whatever. We can't decide what it is.
Yeah.
I think if he's there, we're going with a back 4, and that would have changed a lot of things. So there is I'm being told that there's no video of me, so sorry if people are not seeing me. There's audio of me I'm hearing, but
I am seeing you.
I see me. I can see me. I guess nobody saw me blow my nose then, so how about that?
There you go.
Anyway, we'll hopefully this will come around. Keep sending comments if you're not seeing us. We'll try and figure something out here. Figure out what the hell's going on. Anyway. Yeah, I think Cameron is probably the choice. To me, he's the most he's been the most vital to the team this year. Even if he hasn't necessarily been the flashiest of the players, I think that probably falls to Josie or maybe Deuce. But to me, he's been the most vital to the team's consistency and to the team's positive record over the year.
The case for Josie, he led the team with 6 goals, 4 of those in World Cup qualifiers, 2 assists. He had 10 for Toronto FC this season. They're in the MLS Cup final, and he had 5 goals in 5 straight MLS playoff games. That's the first time that has ever happened. So, like you said, a lot of times in these contests, it's the thing that you've done for me lately. I think if I'm betting money, I think Josie wins it.
That, yeah, I mean, I'll give you that. I don't necessarily believe that, the person I say it should be is going to win. So I don't.
I declare Cameron.
It can be no one else. Anyone else that I call shenanigans. I declare shenanigans. Yeah, I think
I got the YouTube stream up too, and I see you, so I think you're fine.
Huh? Okay. Well, I can never get the YouTube stream to play for me. So, Lori, you are incorrect.
Don't say that. That's not a good thing to say. Especially this early. So yeah, I would say if I'm ranking them, and we got comments about Pulisic. Pulisic is actually on the Young Male Player of the Year list. We'll get to that. There's no way he doesn't win that, but we'll get to the other 4 who are going to lose to him. I got Josie just over Jeff Cameron, probably Bobby Wood, Deuce, and Michael Bradley, then rounding out the top 5 of the 5 finalists. But yeah, if it's not Josie, I would say Jeff Cameron, and if I'm arguing, I could make a strong case for Jeff Cameron too.
I think anyone but Bradley really you can make a strong case for.
Good, yeah.
Like I said, Bradley's only there because of history, and at this point, he's several years past kind of the history that he's shown. So it is starting to get to maybe stop putting him in. Like in that regard, it is sort of like Timmy and Donovan, where it was like they didn't necessarily have to have a good year. Casey Keller was kind of the same way. They didn't necessarily have to have a great year. They were just going to make the list because they were always going to be on the list.
Right. Dan Lopez says we should base it on Copa America. I mean, that's Copa America and the World Cup qualifiers for sure. I think that's
yeah.
Carly Lloyd won the Female Player of the Year worldwide last year because she
dominated the final
few World Cup matches when it counted. And also, the women are out. They have a list. It's Carly Lloyd and 4 other people who aren't going to be the winner, and I don't even think it's worth talking about because she's on the Female World Player of the Year finalists list again this year, so she better win ours.
One would think.
One would think, but yeah, it's that sort of thing. It's when you do what you do that's most important, I think, to a lot of people. And if you're arguing Clint Dempsey. 3 goals, but 2 of them were in the Copa America. So, in looking back, yeah, he had a very strong start of the year before he went out with the heart condition, which just still, I hate this, man. I mean, Deuce deserves to be out there this weekend. Deuce deserves to be out there in a national team jersey. I know it's probably killing him, but obviously he's more concerned about his health right now than anything, I would think. And that's all I'm concerned about too. And I hope he lives a long and happy and healthy life, and that's what matters. And if we get to see him play again, that's a bonus. So, Young Male Players of the Year. We were joking that in some years you might not even know all the guys' names on the list. And this year it's like formidable. Starting with 2 guys who were amazing in the U17 tournament that we just won, the Nike Friendlies. Andrew Carrollton, he's 16. He played for Charleston Battery. He's property of Atlanta, and I assume he's going to be playing with the MLS team next year.
Will he do? Should he win? And he won't. But will he do the Carlton when he gets up on?
And Josh Sargent from your hometown of St. Louis. He had a hat trick in that first game against Portugal. So, I mean,
The Lou.
those guys are great, but they're not starting in the Champions League. So they're probably not going to win it. And another, Cameron Carter-Vickers. He should not win it because he plays for Spurs. But
Should never win anything. He has to come second to somebody from Arsenal, and since
he'd come third in a 2-horse race.
Well, since Alalam didn't make the list, he clearly can't win.
I mean, you got a guy who's playing, albeit sitting, but playing for a Premier League team there, which begs the question: why didn't Lyndon Gooch make it? Maybe because he just got his first cap in that last game, but
Probably
had to be capped to actually do this, which would, although maybe not, because this is the youth player of the year, and Lyndon has played for us at some level, I assume. Jordan Morris, who on any other year would run away with this thing. He's going to be your MLS Rookie of the Year. He's playing in MLS Cup. He was dominant in the conference final. And then Christian Pulisic, who, my God, just wrap it up. You could make a case that he's our player of the year straight up, period. But they put him on the young male list, and so he's going to win that. At least he better. You don't see it differently, do you?
No, in that regard, I totally say him. I mean, the only other person on the list really who has a shot is Jordan Morris. But yeah, realistically, and I'm always curious, is the judging officially just games you played in a U.S. uniform, or
no,
is
I
it
think the club form counts too?
Because in that case, yeah, I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Only one of these guys is passing to Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang or or like some other $100 million player.
Yeah. Only one of these dudes is going to be playing at the Bernabeu this week. At least I hope. I hope they play him. He's started on the bench the last couple of games, so hoping he gets a
That's
shot.
not terrible though for excuse me, for a young kid, especially on a team that's kind of loaded with talent, and they're trying to bring him along. So that's kind of a positive thing. I don't necessarily want him starting every single game right now, because I don't want him either getting hurt or getting burned out before he's kind of truly made the leap to like superstardom. Then by all means, get him out there. I mean, like,
and we're going to discuss, the next topic's going to be all these rumors about Pulisic, but I did want to mention there's that great shot of Pulisic and Fabian coming on in the 78th minute in the game over the weekend in the Bundesliga against the two Borussias. And Pulisic is like reaching into Thomas Tuchel's pocket. People were wondering what the hell that was all about. Apparently, this is from the Bundesliga English YouTube feed. This was some sort of joke about, hey, do you want to warm up your hands by sticking them in my pocket? Seems a little strange. Maybe something's lost in translation there with the German, but that's what it was. So if you haven't seen the photo, we have it on.
German.
If you haven't seen it, it's on the website, USfanTV.com.
Maybe it's just something about German coaches being kind of sick freaks. Thinking maybe he was like, hey, do you want to see where I keep my boogers when I pick my nose on the bench?
Oh, Yogi Love. But we take him in a heartbeat as our coach. I don't care if he's picking his nose or smelling his armpit.
Picks his ass and then smells his fingers.
With that dude, it just kept getting more and more disgusting.
Yeah.
It's like, I've won a World Cup. I don't care.
I am German. Why are you doing that? I am German.
Why not? Why not? So yeah, Pulisic is the subject of a lot of rumors this week. Talk of him going to Liverpool. The rumor was that they were going to make a $31 million bid. That was the minimum that Dortmund was going to accept for him to go to Liverpool and reunite with Jurgen Klopp. There's talk of PSG, but I mean, everybody's rumored to be going to PSG at one point or another. And I wrote this week, I could kind of stomach a move to Liverpool, but I really, really don't want him to move at all. He's got a great thing going. He's 18, and that's still a very fragile period. You don't want to screw this thing up Tuchel knows how to use him. Obviously, has shown he knows how to use him. Let's not upset this thing here. Let's keep him there for at least another year, and then, if a giant team comes calling when he's a little bit older, fine. But I mean, he's so new. I don't want to see him go. Do you?
No, really. I think my issues with Liverpool, beyond the fact that I hate Liverpool. So sorry to our viewers who might, but I hate your team. So beyond that, just looking at it like from his perspective, I do see it as one. Even I got to say, Coutinho is awesome, and he's not really long-term hurt. So unless they're thinking of for some reason he's going to leave, you're just replacing him for what, a month or two, maybe, if at all, because Coutinho may be back by the time the window's closed anyway. So it may be that you've got a backup for him. Well, I don't want that to happen. I'd rather see him playing. PSG, my problem is because they are so much of a money team at this point. Is he truly going to play? And I just don't believe. I don't believe PSG is truly has their heart in player development. It's actually my one issue with Timothy Weah playing there. Now I know he's doing it because his dad is a hero to them, so he probably was kind of gifted a spot, even if he may not have deserved it at that point. But all in all, I just don't see them having a real, or I don't believe in their player development, because there's so much win now at any cost that if he doesn't, I don't know, say he gets hurt, or he doesn't train as well because he's not getting the same kind of focus that he's getting at Dortmund, does he get cast aside and they go buy somebody else for 60 million or 120 million or whatever the hell they feel like spending because they're PSG and this is what they can do now?
Yeah, I don't view them as a big. I mean, I know that they're a big club now because they've got oil money and they can spend, but the French league sucks compared to Bundesliga, and Dortmund's playing in, week out, better competition in their league, and then also in the Champions League. PSG basically exists to be a Champions League team. They run away with the French title every year now. No, and my other concern about PSG would be, what if Mourinho gets sacked from Man United and winds up somebody, for some reason gives him a chance, he winds up at PSG, and Mourinho pulls a Mourinho and he's like, you are not going to play. He bought Mkhitaryan and decided not to play him. He's the one who bought him. He could do this.
He did it just to spite Arsenal. I don't think he did it. I think he did it just to go, haha.
Right, but you don't want our biggest, brightest young talent to be at the whim of some D-bag like that. So, and I'm not saying Mourinho's going to PSG. I'm not saying that Pulisic's going there, but that's just my point. Liverpool would be okay because of Klopp. I trust Klopp. He's got a great track record. He seems like a good dude. He knows Pulisic. I don't like Liverpool, but I could at least make a case that it'd be okay. I don't want him going really much of anywhere else. And I really don't even want him going to Liverpool. I'd rather him just stay at Dortmund and keep building on what he's already got.
Now, the thing I really like, or my final point about that kind of was going to be that Dortmund has such a good track record of developing young players and working them into the lineup and getting them playing time. And despite the fact that they are a team that's challenging, at least for the Bundesliga title, and then playing, well into Champions League, they actually are a team that plays young players, that gives them a chance, that gets them out there. And in that regard, I'd prefer to see him stay there because he's just more likely, I think, to keep the playing time he's got, to gain more. And on top of it, some of these guys, Aubameyang, Royce, some of their other stars you think they just can't keep them more than probably another year or two. So that's going to start opening up more spots for some of their youth. I would think that only benefits guys like Pulisic. And granted, we're talking about, I mentioned like forward strikers there, not exactly the position he's playing or that we necessarily, I think, want him to play perhaps long-term, but it's just they're going to have to be guys who move into that lineup. They can't. You would think some of these guys are going to look at, I'm reaching the peak of my career. I got to go get the money that I'm never going to get this if I wait another 2 years. They're going to go somewhere. They're going to do something. Real Madrid's going to come in and throw money at them, or Jose Mourinho is going to throw money at him because he can. Like it's going to happen somewhere. So I think that's going to give opportunities for guys like Pulisic, and I just think it's more promising for him at Dortmund than it is elsewhere. I mean, maybe a mid-level team is somewhere else, but then again, he's losing Champions League experience. So where are you going to keep what you have and build on it, and then still have playing opportunities?
He's in the perfect place right now.
Yeah, really is.
And it's also a city that absolutely adores the team. And I could be wrong on this, but I've always viewed them as kind of a positive city. Like they're very positive toward the team. There are other places where our favorite team of Arsenal is one of them, where the fans will turn on you incredibly quickly. It turns negative incredibly fast. I don't see it as being that way at Dortmund. I could be wrong on that though, but he seems like a strong enough kid that mentally that he may not even care. But I just want to see him stay where he is. Lyndon Gooch and Julian Green were coming along with their club teams, Sunderland and Bayern Munich, until they both recently got hurt. Lyndon Gooch's is especially bad. He was playing in a U23 match. I think it was an ankle deal. He's out 2 to 3 months, which really sucks because he was really contributing to their Premier League team. And Julian Green was just about, it seemed like, to get some playing time with the full squad there at Bayern, and he's out for a month. So, I mean, he's a Robert Lewandowski injury away from maybe even starting, sometimes definitely getting some minutes. So you hate to see anybody get hurt, but with those particular two guys, it felt like kind of a really strong kind of dagger and dip in their season that they had to deal with it at this point.
Yeah, I mean, for Gooch, it sucks because with an ankle surgery, and it is a ligament surgery, so he's going to have the recovery from it, so he's not going to be able to train for, I don't know, probably 6 weeks at least or something. And then you got the recovery time after that. I think they're expecting a full 3 months, and things like ligament injuries have a tendency to be longer lasting than that. We've seen plenty of guys who basically spent the next year out because they got a knee or an ankle injury that just kind of wouldn't heal. So it would suck. It was just as David Moyes had nice things to say about him and was saying that I think your form is really returning. So you really had to think that this may have been. I mean, he just come out versus Liverpool. He was getting playing time again. He was getting the support of the coach. So you have to think that probably things were starting to turn a corner again for him. And then to see him go out, and this means that he's he's through the window, so they may bring in somebody else. And it pushes him really up against the chance of even playing in March for the U.S. Although, I mean, based on what Bruce was saying, I don't know that you can put a lot of stock in the fact that there may have been youth players coming in. But it really kind of it hurts his chances, I think, overall, because they may have to fill a spot for him come January before he's back. And then it hurts his chances of playing for the U.S. because it just pushes back the chance that he's going to be in shape by our next set of games. Because, I mean, January's gone, so it's really he's looking at March at the earliest. Julian, maybe a little bit the same. I mean, it's not. I don't think I didn't write. What is his injury? I didn't write it down, so I can't remember now. But
I don't remember. This is something I should have done in show prep, but I didn't. He's hurt. He has an injury. Maybe if somebody knows, tell us. I don't remember what he has. I was
talking too much now. I can't think of it. But again, you're looking at any injury right now is pretty much putting you at at least missing January. Now, granted, they're in Europe, so they're probably not going to play in January for the U.S. anyway. But the real issue becomes with the January window too.
If Bayern viewed him as a guy who wasn't going to be playing, they may have actually let him go to the January.
That's true. That's true. Yeah, and that's also where, I mean, this injury is like particularly bad timing for him, because really he's at kind of a make or break point. Like, he either has to start playing or he has to go. And I would have even said over the summer he needed to go, because he's reaching an age where you can't keep waiting for that to happen, or you're going to wait forever. And in the meantime, there are guys who didn't wait, who went somewhere else, and are going to get the stardom and the attention and the playing time, and they're going to come in and take your place then. And you're always being also ran.
A few weeks ago, I wrote that I did not want Julian to move. This was before the injury. We're right on the cusp of whether that's a good thing or a bad thing. And if he comes out of this injury and still isn't playing by the end of the year, I really do believe he needs to make a move over the summer if Bayern stays the way they are. Now, if Bayern does something else and they want to bring him in, great, but he's still too young and inexperienced to get time at Bayern. So there's got to be a better place for him. Now, I would love to see him. I'd love to see an American playing and doing well at Bayern Munich, but it's looking more and more like he's going to come out of this injury, and then he's going to have to, work up, the head of steam that he had right before he was about to break into the team. And it's just going to be another season of him not playing there. Crew HD says maybe to a mid-table Bundesliga team. Bayern is too good for him right now, at least. I would agree. I don't see him moving in January, especially because of the injury, but I think over the summer, you have to look at that. You have to play.
They are saying a month, because it's just muscle. They are saying only a month. And
it's been already a week, I think, since.
Yeah, and you figure they'll have their winter break, so at least he has a little bit of extra recovery time, so that may benefit him. But at the same time, if you're talking about moving, any injury right now makes that unlikely. Who the hell is going to sign somebody injured, unless apparently it's Arsenal, and you haven't signed anybody until the last day of the transfer window? And
yeah. Speaking of Arsenal, the guy they were going to sign over the summer, Almiron from Paraguay, is going to play for Atlanta United. So, Arsenal, Atlanta United. The U17s, we talked about this a little bit at lunch, on our lunchtime chat, or whatever we're calling that. I don't think we have a name yet. But, I mean, my God, it is – what we don't know is how seriously the other nations were taking it. But 7-1 over Portugal, 5-1 over the Turks, and 3-0 over a small footballing nation called Brazil.
Who?
Apparently, they take up like 2/3 of South America's landmass. They speak Portuguese. I don't know. I've never heard of them.
Ecuador?
There was some guy named Edison. Went by a different name. I can't remember it.
Never heard of it.
But we're joking. We're joking, of course.
Before we get comments.
Yeah. You don't know Pele? These are terrible. But yeah, I mean, sure, they're kids, but I'm excited. I did not watch the first match because the Toronto-Montreal poutine derby was going on, but I caught parts of the Turkey match and a good chunk of the Brazil match, and they looked really, really strong. It's like you said before, there's certain issues that at that age, they just the continuity and flow isn't there, in part because they're young, they don't train as much, they don't train together as much, but they look stronger than their opponents. And I think it's exciting.
Yeah, I think when you're talking about teenagers, especially guys who aren't playing at who aren't either going to be world class, you're looking more for, I think, kind of results than anything, because you're looking at kind of how they finish things. You're looking at some individual plays, because as a team, it's too much back and forth. There's too much. You might get one good touch here, but one bad touch here, because. Like you said, there's just not enough consistency in amount of time they're playing. in who they're playing. Excuse me, who they're playing against. And so they're well, and come on, I mean, we were all teenagers once. Like, not everything works at the same speed all the time. So there's just growth development things that it'll come. But to see such a strong result or series of results, I think is a big deal. Yeah, I haven't looked into who the players were on the other teams. It's not like I study up on who Brazil's youth team is or anyone else's. I mean, closest I probably have to a non-U.S. Interest in teams is just Mexico, and that's more to watch. Like, who do I have to hate next year or whatever?
There's a point where that stuff kind of gets creepy. I can remember guys like, oh, this kid's 14, he's a stud. I'm like, that's what? Like, that's a little weird. You're calling a boy, like, about a boy, and you're calling him a stud. No, don't be weird.
Just be glad
what's going on.
Just be glad Pulisic's 18, like the guy next to me in Columbus.
Oh God! And we're at the Globe Pub watching the Arsenal match on Saturday, and Chris refers to Pulisic as barely 18. It's very poor.
Pat got half a chub.
It's not true.
It was full.
Although when I make him watch those runs. All right. Last topic of the night, unless something pops up on the old Twitter machine or something. I'm writing a piece about a man named Deuce, Clint Dempsey, for the website USFanTV.com, and it made me remember that there was, at one point, 5 Americans played for Fulham. Now I don't think we even have 5 Americans playing in the Premier League. What's happened? Well, why aren't there more? We have some in Europe and in other countries, and I know there's a lot of different things going on here. But in your mind, why are so few Americans currently playing in the Premier League?
I think there are a few reasons. One, I'll start with what I assume will be Crew HD is laughing at the barely legal comment, or barely 18. I mean. I think it's a few things. The first is that the quality of. I just think there hasn't been a real strong, roughly like 24-year-old age guys, or kind of that like 4 to 6 years sort of behind Deuce kind of. We just haven't. There wasn't really a standout there. I mean, really, I think that was part of the problem with Bradley, was he was kind of the only guy in between like Donovan and whoever we didn't know yet who it would be, but sort of the next generation.
Right.
There was nobody kind of in that group. And so I think some of it is just that the quality of players hasn't been the same. I think some of it is that as we've become better as kind of as the level has risen, more guys are going with, where their heritage is, and they're spreading out, and so you're seeing guys in Germany, you're seeing guys in, wherever they're, Lee Wen in Vietnam or something. To bring up one of our fans, one of our friends' favorite players, you're seeing guys kind of go where they're, where they may have like family who can help them get a work permit or something.
Yeah, a lot of that is if you can get a passport, you end up going there.
I mean, that's how Jada Merritt ended up playing for Watford, was just that because his dad, grandparents, I can't remember who was an immigrant from England. He had the ability to use that as a way to still get playing a work permit, so he could actually go play without, or get a job anyway, without having to worry about someone sponsoring him or whatever, or meeting all the criteria that you now have in order to get a work permit in England, unless you're from the EU. By the way, speaking of Jada Merritt, I did find your poster when I had him sign for you, so I do have that now.
Thank you.
Anyway,
glad we could work that out on the live stream.
Yeah, lovely for everyone to know. Anyway, I think it's a combination of factors. I think it's the quality of players just hasn't been there, and I think that the fact that there's just more opportunities for Americans now. I do actually think, in particular, the EPL is probably going to get worse with Brexit.
Yeah.
Unless they find that because they can't spend the kind of money, or because they've lost sort of the context, and so they don't know where to spend the money, and they start changing laws somehow that affect who teams can sign, and then they want to chase like value or something as opposed to guys like Ronaldo or something. I actually see probably England's going to suffer from fewer players getting work permits pretty soon.
I mean, probably overall, they've got dickish rules as it is, more than other. I mean, with other EU countries, it's pretty much if you get an EU passport, good. There are other rules. England seem particularly strict, and on top of that, I think one other thing is we've also been in the era where MLS finally got some money to spend, and they were willing to overpay for U.S. talent. So you've seen a lot of guys like, Josie wasn't really cutting it at Sunderland, but I think in the right situation, Josie could have made it in the Premier League. Michael Bradley, back a few years ago, could have played in the Premier League. Deuce had some time left in him, but he wanted to come home. You've seen guys make a move, and obviously Landon could have if he ever wanted to play abroad, but he was happy in Los Angeles. So you've seen guys who were comfortable here, who wanted to come home here and who wanted to make the big money, and I don't blame them. You got a short window to make that much money. If somebody's paying you $2 million to play in Europe or $6 million to play in the U.S., and you're from the U.S. or Canada, as the case is with Toronto FC, I'm going. No doubt I'm going. So, I mean, you could say you would test yourself at the highest level or whatever, and I'd want to, but if the money's that far off, I'm not going to stay in Europe. So
yeah, I mean, when it comes down to you're looking at a finite window of time in which you earn money, and when it's significantly more to go play somewhere else, there are certain reasons to take the money, because what if you get hurt? What if you might have kids? Whatever, you want to set everything up. So now's the time to make your money, so you don't have to worry about I don't know, trying to scrimp by because you only took half of it before.
There's before we go, there's a good discussion going on the comments right now about whether it's unclear whether the U17 guys, and this is SF Medits writing this, it's unclear whether they're just athletically dominant or whether they're actually technically really strong too, and that's tough to tell. Right at that age, it can be that they're just way better athletes, and you don't see the cream really rise to the top until everybody's kind of on the same playing field when they're older, and then you see technical ability really do it. But I don't know the answer to that. And you're right, if it's just athletic ability, you'll see these guys drop off. But if it's soccer talent, and I think with some of them like Carrollton it is, he'll be all right. So we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, I will say, I mentioned when we talked at lunch, I did watch Josie and Freddie Adu dominate Brazil in the U17. 17's like whatever it was, 10 years ago now. So clearly they didn't progress the same way. And I mean, at 14 or whatever, Freddie Adu was supposedly, or at 22, Freddie Adu was as good as Lionel Messi at 14. So, there are certainly differences. Now, granted, there were things I saw that did, for the most part, our players were showing at least as much talent as any of their opponents. The big thing will be that, where do these guys go from here? How do they develop over the next years? Do they get the professional opportunities that all of them fully across the board, and the best professional opportunities? I mean, they're all playing in different places. Some of them are still playing at like small clubs, aren't they? Like local clubs.
Yeah.
So, it will take how are they going to progress that kind of raw talent to become, say the Christian Pulisic or something in a couple of years. I do think some of them. I mean, one of the things I said earlier was it was nice to actually see some Americans in a competitive tournament have a good first touch. Now, granted, like I said before, some of that would be, hey, awesome first touch. Next time, oh, boot the ball 10 yards. So it kind of went back and forth, but that's to be expected of guys who just aren't playing as consistently as or with as much experience as 22-year-olds or whatever. So I think it's a good question. Are they athletically dominant or technically dominant? I mean, yeah. Look at Donovan scoring the Golden Boot in the what was it, the U19 World Cup when he was 18 or whatever. So it's not unheard of that. Yeah, we have players who are athletically dominant, but not technically gifted or as gifted as their opponents. But individually, there were some promising signs. That was nice to see, and I think there is something to be said for a 15-2 scoreline. That's not just being athletically gifted, unless you're saying that unless you're playing against children or something. Yeah, in that case, sure, you could send out a group of men. They'll beat a group of 6-year-olds or something because they're just more athletically gifted or stronger, whatever. They don't even have to be more talented. But when you're playing essentially even, and you're still dominating that much, I think that does speak to quality, not just athletic gifts.
Crew HD writes, apparently Atlanta had to pay Seattle because they had the discovery rights on El Marone. This is one of these things that drives me absolutely up a wall about MLS. Oh, I can have discovery rights. I discovered Cristiano Ronaldo. No, you didn't. I hate all the rules about that MLS has in place. This is one of them that particularly bugs me.
Yeah,
they discover him. As if they did, then I discovered Leo Messi. He's mine. Pay up.
I did see him play at 14, so I'm just saying. I mean, not a hero, but some people might want to call me that. I can't stop them.
I would call you a hero. All right,
I can.
That's what we have for you tonight. USFanTV. It's not that mediocre. Our Twitter is at USFanTV. The website is USFanTV.com.
Imagine that.
And one more plea. Subscribe to this very broadcast if you like it, even if you don't like it. You probably don't like it. I don't know why you would, but you should subscribe to it because...
But it's not that mediocre, so...
It's not that mediocre. It's okay. It's not that mediocre. It doesn't suck that bad. There's worse on the internet.
I will say there's definitely worse.
The bar is really low, though.
This is the internet.
We're at least telling the truth most of the time about what we're saying. So
we are not freedomeagle.facebook.
The bar is really low here. All right. So yeah. Thanks. Tell your friends, spread us across the internet. And one day you can say that you were there when we sucked. You knew us
when.
I
liked their old stuff. They sucked. Yeah. They sucked less then.
Yeah, there'd be hipsters with us. They were way better. Now that they got big, terrible. All right. Adios. Not that mediocre.